Welcome to another inspiring episode of the Elite Expert Insider Podcast. Hosts Melanie Johnson and Jenn Foster are the owners of Elite Online Publishing. They're both Wall Street Journal, USA Today best-selling authors. We're really glad you're here because this podcast was designed for you. Meet industry experts that share their secrets and strategies. Get successful results for your business in money, relationships, health, and your life. Each episode is going to inspire you to take action towards reaching your greatness.
Hi, everyone. It's Melanie Johnson. I've got Jenn Foster here, the co-owner of Elite Online Publishing with me. Hi, Jenn.
Hey, everyone. How's it going today?
Man, I think it's going to be a great day for everybody. If you've ever wondered how to start a business and make it grow to 7+ figures, well, you're in the right place today because it's not easy. Many people struggle. They start and 5 years the business disappears. So we're going to have some really great tips and we're going to dive deep into how to do that. Start from scratch. We have Lorraine Dallmeier here with us. She started an education skincare brand teaching women how to formulate their own skincare and either do it for themselves or turn it into a business. But she's turned the business of learning how to make your skin look better into over $5 million. So I can't wait to hear more about this. Thanks, Lorraine, for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I am thrilled to be here and I can't wait to chat to both of you.
Awesome. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got started in this industry.
Well, I'm a biologist by training, and I was on maternity leave with my eldest son, who is now 11, going on 12. So it gives you an idea of how long I've been doing this now. And I decided I wanted to work for myself. So I'd had really good jobs working all around the world, but I always kept coming up against that glass ceiling. And I just thought, I really want something for myself. I have my biology background, I have my environmental science background. What could I do? And I decided I was going to learn how to make natural skincare and I was going to sell it. And so to cut a very long story short, I basically went online, found a tiny online course that taught me how to formulate skincare, absolutely loved it, and then realized how life-changing this could be. Bought the school when it was in its infancy. I mean, it was a one-woman side hustle at the time. We had, 100, 200 students at that point. Bought it, turned it around, built it up from scratch again, basically. And now I have 40 staff. We're at about 15,000 students. We're in 180 countries. And as you said at the beginning, we turned over about 5.5 million last year. So it's been a roller coaster of a journey. I've been doing this for a decade now. I love it. I'm exhausted, but it's great fun.
One of the things you said is that, I turned it around. And so many of us, whether we've bought a business and have to turn it around, or we've gone through COVID and had to turn something around, or we've been in our business and it's not going well. How did you turn it around? And how do you suggest other people do that?
The first thing I did was I was looking at the customer journey. So in our case, the student journey, because I really wanted to make sure that people had a great experience when they came to us. That was the first and foremost thing that I had to start with. And it was a complete mess when I took over the school. I mean, if you bought a course, you didn't even get email confirmation of it. It was like that bad. So I was like, okay, I have a lot of work to do here. So I just started ripping that apart. And then I thought, okay, I don't like the platform that it's on. So I completely redid the platform. And I thought, okay, I don't like the way that we deal with customer support. So I ripped that up. And then I slowly but surely felt that I'd got to the stage that I thought the student experience was good. And then I thought, now I'm going to start focusing on the marketing. And I taught myself digital marketing while I was on maternity leave. My children just fed for hours and hours. I was always on the sofa with breastfeeding babies. And so I thought, okay, well, they're asleep on me. What else can I do? So I started reading all these blogs and ebooks and learning all about digital marketing. And it just enthralled me. And so I figured out how to launch, how to set up a business, how to basically get myself out there and get visible. And once I had that student experience the way I wanted it to be, then I started actually launching it into the world. And yeah, it just flew overnight, to be honest. I mean, the first launch I did, we brought in about $50,000 worth of sales. And at that point, I quit my day job and I was like, right, we're going for it. And that was that.
That's awesome. And it's great that you took the time to educate yourself, because I think that's one of the things that I know in one of the businesses that I owned in the past. we bought the business, and then we just kind of let the management that was in place already when we bought it just keep running it for a while. And we didn't really educate ourselves on a lot of things and just let them kind of run it into the ground until we were like, okay, wait, let me learn a little bit more about this, and let's make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to do. And then we had to get on the management. And like you said, then you focus on customer experience, and then you focus on marketing. So I love the order of the way that you did it, because a lot of times people will just go straight to marketing and the customers have horrible experience and your business goes down. So.
No, absolutely. You need to get that right. You need to get that nailed, because if your customers aren't happy, they're not going to be coming back, and they certainly won't promote you through word of mouth. And I will say that the majority of our sales have come through organic marketing and word of mouth over the last years since I've been in the school. So that goes to show that, if people are happy, it just, it spreads and it grows because of that.
Walk us through, you said, when we did our first launch, it took off. So many people don't have that experience. And obviously, maybe you've done more launches since then, like we're launching, we're like, hey, promoting, we're having this coming out. And walk us through the launch that you did and why you think it was successful.
I have done more launches since then. I will say I've done dozens and dozens more. So that first one was a real learning experience for me, because I realized that I had to, first of all, put myself out there and be really visible. And so I recorded several videos of myself teaching. I followed the classic sort of Jeff Walker product launch formula. I'm sure a lot of listeners have heard of him. I love Jeff. I'm part of his inner group now as well. And I just followed that process, and it worked so well because I was teaching people, and they looked at it and they thought, if this is what the free stuff is like, the paid stuff must be awesome. And that is how I live and breathe all my launches, because I want people to get tremendous value from it. And it created community, and it created authority, and it created a launch echo, because after that, it just started to snowball. I mean, people were coming to us over and over because of that. And every launch I've done since then has had that effect. We've won awards, we've been recognized, we're featured in the press all the time. A lot of that comes from that community, that content, that giving back. So I'd say those are the sort of core principles that sit at the base of every single launch we do. The last launch we did, we do 7-figure launches now, but the last one, we dressed it up as a Netflix series, and we were like, we're going to teach you a free Netflix series on how to make your own face cream. I don't have one. I have one here, actually. I know that the listeners can't see it, but the viewers can. And we taught them how to make this yellow face cream from scratch, step by step, over 9 videos. And it was all presented like a Netflix series, and people could log in and watch it. And it was so cool. We had 43,000 people take part, and they were excited, and everyone made their own skin cream, and then everyone was comparing. So that's really how we run our launches, just by creating that content, that reciprocity, and that community.
Mm-hmm. I think it's key what you said about giving the value first. And I know a lot of people teach that, and Jeff Walker teaches that, but giving that value first before you're asking for money, because then they know that they can know, like, and trust you, and they've seen you on video and all the different things that fall into place to make it so that, they can stay on your team or stay in your group or stay in your tribe or whatever you want to call it, through the course of whatever you're taking them through, right? Yep. Through the launch formula.
Absolutely. It's all about giving back. And I think if people feel, like I said, if they sit there and they think, wow, this is the free stuff, the paid stuff must be awesome, then, you're guaranteed sales at the end of it. And that has absolutely been the case for us over the last 8 years of launching, which is why I have bags under my eyes.
No, your skin looks great because you're making your own skincare products. So
I was going to say, I don't see them. So tell us what you use. How do you use
It's probably the Zoom filter.
So what have been some of the difficulties? Obviously, having these great launches and $1 million launches are incredible, but I'm sure you had some rough spots along the way.
Yes. I think every business owner does. The biggest challenge I've had has been building the right team. And I am sure I am not the only person who has said this on your podcast, and I probably won't be the only person who says this, but it has been a real learning experience. Finding the right people at the right time as well has been a big challenge. I will also say that the people I hired right at the beginning were not necessarily the people that I need with me now. that isn't always the case, but in general, I found that I've had to change team throughout the years too. And getting to the stage, I mean, like I said, there's 40 of us now. I need managers in there. I have a leadership team. I have coordinators. I have a help desk with, 10 staff in there. I think we answered 27,000 help desk tickets last year. That gives you an idea of how big this is. We sent 9.5 million emails. It is huge, this undertaking, and you need to have the right people there. And I've made so many terrible, terrible hiring decisions. And I will live with that forever, and you live with the repercussions. But then when you find those fantastic people, and I will say my team now is absolutely awesome, then things really start to grow. But that has been one heck of an undertaking, I have to say.
Yeah, I think they say hire slow and fire fast. Is that what it is? Did I say it right? I can't even remember.
And that's hard. That's really hard because you invest in people and you want to see the best in them. I once attended a talk where this really successful entrepreneur said, I always go into every new hire expecting the best out of them. And I have done the same since listening to him say that. I thought I have to go into that as well. So when you have someone and it doesn't work out, it's really hard to fire fast because you feel terrible, but you have to, because otherwise it's to the detriment of the business.
It's almost like a bad relationship. It's like you keep well, maybe if we go to therapy and I keep doing this and if I work with them just a little more, or if I can communicate and then it'll change. And, but as I find with staff and companies, you are growing, you're constantly growing and changing. And just like people in your life, they don't always grow and change with you. So sometimes you have to add new people in and change the dynamic of how that looks. And I imagine you're going to be growing even more as you go on, and some people will stay with you and some people won't, or they need to grow individually in a different direction as well.
Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah, I mean, we are definitely going to hit 8 figures, and we may not have the same people with us at that point. It depends on them, really. Yeah. And you're right, not everyone has that attitude, and I very much have seen that over the years. But I've got some fantastic people in my team now, and I'm very, very proud of them. And that's why we run such a tight and smooth ship at the moment.
What about, let's talk about accounting. That seems to be a big thing for people, is money. You grew so fast and sometimes you just can't keep track of all the bookkeeping and all of that stuff. And you're like, what? So walk us through, did you have any obstacles with that? And what have you found that has worked best for you?
I luckily haven't really had any obstacles with that because I like money. I like talking about money. I like working with money. I know a lot of entrepreneurs sort of feel a bit icky about that. I am not that person. The first hire I made in a business was an accountant. I remember like about 15 years ago, I ended up doing my own tax return and I'd just come back. I'd worked abroad. It was really complicated. I cried through the whole thing. And at that point I went, I am never putting myself through that again. So when I started my business, before I even bought the school, I was already running a business. I had an app, I had a following online. And I was like, I am not doing the accounts for this myself. So that was the first hire I made effectively. We've had various challenges over the years. I mean, we've had to become VAT registered, like state, you guys have, is it GST? The state tax thing. Yeah.
In Canada is GST and US is sales tax.
Yeah. And so basically up leveling each time has created new obstacles. I mean, even today, there've been like 20, 30 messages flying past about the latest tax return that's gone out, but it's not something that phases me. And I know that we've done a really good job with it actually, because I immediately outsourced. And I also got us into cloud-based software as soon as I could, because it's just one of those things you have to track it properly. Otherwise it all goes very wrong. I mean, we sold over 10,000 courses last year, and that doesn't include all the membership sales and all the little bits that come in here and there. I would not want someone sat there doing that manually. That would be awful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I hear you saying hire an accountant first whenever you start a business. That's the first thing you should do. Absolutely. And then second, make sure you have really good software that runs your company for you so that you don't have to do everything manually. I think I see that a lot in companies where the one person show she does everything or he does everything manually. And then there's nobody that can really take over for him because he's doing it all himself or she's doing it all herself. And no software or anything to do it, right? So on paper or whatever, right?
if you're that person, then, you're sat there doing all that work and you're not focused on your business. You're just dealing with the things that are so easy to outsource. Same with the legals. I mean, I had a lawyer straight away as well. And these things don't have to cost a lot in the beginning because you don't need them all that much. And if your business is small, then your accounts are small and everything's quite manageable. But yeah, it's a scary step to outsource, but you have to start straight away.
What, talking about tech and software, what software do you use to run your courses on? There's a bunch of different options out there. We're always asking people what they feel is the best, and maybe you've gone through several reiterations of what you use.
That is a very interesting question because we actually have our own bespoke platform. So we built it ourselves using software called Moodle, which is open source e-learning software that a lot of the universities use. And we own it, we run it. Everything is ours, basically. We are not beholden to anyone who owns that for us. That has its upsides. It means that we can do whatever we want with it. We can tailor it to our needs. We can design it exactly as we want. It also has its downsides, which means that, we don't have a company to go to if something breaks. Obviously, I have an e-learning development company that runs it for me, but it's, I'm not sure I would go down that route again. But on the other hand, I'm incredibly proud of what we have and the fact that it is entirely independent and we're not, linked to someone like Kajabi or whatever. I know there are fantastic platforms out there, but we own it ourselves and we run it ourselves. We have over 100 pieces of software that run Formula Botanica. So that is just one of them as well. But I now have a head of systems and he runs all of them smoothly in the background and I don't have to do it anymore, which is good.
Well, that's great. Yes.
And what about, you were talking about you sent 9 million emails out. When you're communicating with your customers, like you're running a launch, how many emails are too many emails and how many are not enough? Trying to promote this and we vacillate, go back and forth with this. Well, maybe it's too much in their inbox. We don't want to flood that. And, but then you need to get the message out and make sure you're reminding them like, hey, we're having this launch. What do you feel is works for you?
During a launch, we tend to go with daily. I know some people go 2-3 times a day. I personally think that's overkill because if someone is engaged in your launch, then they will read that email. Saying that, we don't just rely on emails. Yes, we sent 9.5 million last year, which I find a staggeringly, eye-wateringly amount. But we also sent out tens of thousands of text messages and SMSs around the world. So when a new piece of content goes live in a launch, for instance, you'll get an email, you'll get a text. There'll be push notifications through various apps. It goes out on social media. So we try and get to people in many different ways because we know that will give us far greater success of engagement. And ultimately, that's the most important thing. If someone sat there looking at their inbox going, wow, I've had 20 emails from these people in the last 3 days, that's probably not really going to get us the engagement we want because they might feel overwhelmed as well. So I tend to stick with daily until it's close cart time. And then we up it slightly to about 3.
So daily for how far in advance before the launch? Generally, you start
before the launch. No. I would certainly wouldn't start with daily because we tried to get people engaged so that they're already taking part. Before the launch, we might start 2 or 3 a week. Mm-hmm. And that way, we try and invite them to live events, pre-events, maybe get them into a group. So we're already having that conversation with people. But if we haven't got content to share, then I certainly wouldn't want to be emailing someone every day about it.
Mm-hmm. That's really good advice because you want to have that starting to get the people on board before the actual launch and then sending them the emails every day and then a couple right before launch. Awesome.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks for coming, Lorraine. It's just been a pleasure having you and congratulations to all your company's success.
Thank you very much. And thank you for having me on the podcast. It's been lovely chatting to you both.
Yeah. Tell us where people can go to find more information about you and your education.
So we're at formulabotanica.com. We have a free online course there as well that people can come and take so they can learn how to formulate their own natural body butter and learn a little bit about what it means to be a formulator. We're most active on Instagram at Formula Botanica. We have over 100,000 followers there. I'm at Lorraine Dallmeier on Instagram as well, where I talk a lot more about running the business and sustainable beauty. Come and follow us there.
Awesome. We'll put that link up on the show notes as well as on the YouTube description and on our blog post. So,
thank you.
remember to subscribe to our podcast because we always have great information and we have a lot of fun while we're here. And if you're looking to write and publish a book, remember to reach out to us at eliteonlinepublishing.com. We guarantee your book will be a bestseller when you work with us. And we see you next time. Thanks for coming.
Bye.
Hey, are you looking to increase your revenue, build credibility, and elevate your brand? This podcast is brought to you by Elite Online Publishing, an innovative publishing and full spectrum marketing company. They will publish and market your book to make it a #1 bestseller. Becoming an author is the best way to market your business. So contact them at eliteonlinepublishing.com today. All of their authors become #1 bestsellers.